Now I'll introduce today's speaker, Dr. R. Kumar. He is a Associate Director, DRDO Science Food Research Laboratory, Mysore. I request Dr. R. Kumar, please take your seat on the dais. With a small welcome note, I welcome the Director of Science Center, Pilikula, Dr. K.V. Rao, to this function. I welcome all the dignitaries, those who are present over here. I welcome all the students from various engineering colleges, and those are here. I welcome you all. A warm welcome to Dr. P. Kumar, Associate Director. I welcome you, sir, to this program. Dr. R. Kumar has completed his MSc and PhD in food science, and he is currently working as a scientist F and head Food Engineering and Packaging Technology Division in Defense Food Research Laboratory, DRDO, Mysore. He is a gold medalist student in every degree which he is obtained. He is a recipient of gold medal for best student in food science and nutrition faculty by K.M. Karunanidhi, the then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. He has over 26 years of experience in food packaging, thermal and non-thermal processing technologies. He has developed MRE ration for Army of Navy, developed degradable packaging material, developed suitable packaging material for dehydrated vegetables for Army supply, and many more research work. He has carried out 20 user acceptability field trials of different Army, Navy, and Air Force units. He has many laurels to his credit. Now I invite Dr. R. Kumar to take over and present his talk. Sir, please, Dr. R. Kumar.
Respected Director Dr. Rao, the faculty members from the Engineering College, students, the organizers. First of all, let me thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to speak to the students. Even yesterday we were speaking with the students of the Engineering College from Mysore. This is part of the Azadi Amrit Mahotsav events. So DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization, Ministry of Defense. We are also very vigorously participating in these kind of events because the government of India mandated that whatever the science and technology achievements happened in the country, it should reach to the students, particularly the youngsters, so that they can realize what is the hard work put by the different scientists. So in this aspect, DRDO is also participating in that Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, and then we are conducting the exhibition at Bangalore with KSTA Bangalore, and then Mysore also KSTA in the CSR lab we are conducting the exhibition. Due to some logistic problem, we couldn't able to participate the exhibition in the exhibition conduct at Bangalore, but next time we will be participating so that DRDO technologies, products, everything you can see here. So when come to the topic defense and space food technologies, I will be briefly telling what DRDO, DFR is doing for the armed forces. For us, the customer or the client, what in the marketing terminology you call the engineering or the MBA people, they call customer or the client. For us, the client or the customers are the armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, and of course we also now working closely with the paramilitary forces like ITBP, BSF, Coast Guard, all other people. So for us, the defined fixed customer base is there. So we cannot undertake any research which is not relevant to them. So whether anybody is aware of this DRDO structure, all those things, I heard that some Monday or Tuesday there was a lecture about the DRDO's contribution. So this batch students are not aware. So I will be just briefly explaining or exposing to you what DRDO is. So the DRDO, the Defense Research Development Organization, is the Government of India Ministry of Defense organization. We basically develop or the undertake research for the combat operations of the different forces, Army, Navy, and Air Force, and then after the Ramarao committee recommendation, if you have seen anybody about the DRDO has been what you call classified into different technology clusters. One is the naval systems and materials, because basically you are all engineering students. I will also tell what are the avenue scopes that we can enter into DRDO also. Then we have the aeronautical systems, that is and then armaments and combat engine system, heavy vehicles, everything comes. And then the core area of the DRDO is the missiles and strategic systems, and then electronics and communication systems, ECS, and then life science support. The life support systems or the soldier support system is very critical, where we are these things. And MED, microelectronic devices and computational sciences like computer, high-end computer, quantum computer, everything comes here. So I will explain little bit detail here. So in the naval system we have 3 labs, and then in the materials we have 3 labs. This is National Physical Oceanography Laboratory in Kochi, Kerala. They take lot of research on the development of various kind of sonars, underwater weapons, underwater communication systems like that. And then NSTL, that is in Visakhapatnam, Naval Science and Technology Laboratory, Visakhapatnam. And then here they develop various torpedoes, underwater torpedoes, weapons, and then even the fitting of your weapons in the BrahMos weapons are fitting into the naval ships, Sukhoi weapon, all those things. And then here only we developed the INS Arigand, the submarine operated weapon. Here we have the SBC, Shipbuilding Center, because that is a security code that where here only we build the submarines. And then we have NMRL, that is Naval Material Research Laboratory, Ambernath, Mumbai, near Mumbai, 70 kilometers. Here we take lot of care in the ship maintenance and other areas of communication for these naval people. And then in the material science we have DMRL, Defense Material Research Laboratory, Hyderabad. If you are seeing any materials which is developed for the what you call Army or the Navy, here the metallurgy group is working on here, particularly the light alloys. And then the titanium sponge kind of things, everything is developed here only. And then this is the defense lab, Jodhpur. Since this Jodhpur is very, very near to Pokhran site, all of us aware the nuclear experiment we carried out in Pokhran. So this is strategically very important, and here we also undertake various research on the radiation aspects. The nuclear radiation, nuclear dosimeter, how to measure the radiation in the environment, and what are the precautions to be developed like that, Jodhpur. And then we have DMSRD, that is a Defense Material Stores Research Development Establishment, Kanpur. It is a very old laboratory. Here lot of textile related and then other material related work, this thing. So we have under naval and material clusters, we have 6 laboratories. And then come to aeronautical clusters, that is a GTRE, Gas Turbine Research Establishment, famous for the Kaveri engine. If you see anything, if you give in the Google DRDO, Kaveri engine comes to picture. Though Kaveri engine still we are not successful, but now the Mark II, Mark III Kaveri engine, it is going to be used for some other applications, because the engine, when you are talking about the development of aircraft engine, it is not an easy job or easy thing, because the material which should withstand your temperature around 6 to 7,000 degrees Celsius, and the material also should able to 40,000, 50,000 altitude, the material should able to withstand all your environmental conditions. So the GTRE, gas turbine, this thing. But of course in India we have developed the R&D base for the development of engine, aircraft engine. So far in the world, only 2 countries they have the technology in these kinds. One is the US, another is the Russia. Even countries like China, they don't have the aircraft engine. They are depending upon the other engines. Mostly they use GE 401 engine only. And then we have ADE, Aeronautical Development Establishment. Here only all the unmanned aerial vehicles are developed here, Laksaya, all those things. It is again in the Bangalore. And then ADRD, Aerial Delivery Research Development Establishment, Agra. Here the parachutes, whatever the parachutes, Army, Air Force and all they are using, the elite forces, here it is done here. And then CAPS, this is the what you call Center for Airborne Systems. Here it is again the Bangalore. Here lot of what you call the advanced warning systems we develop, which is put into the aircraft, that is the communication, how to network the communication, how to jam the communication of the enemy territory, how to go for the low end communication, all those things will be done under aeronautical clusters. And then armaments and combat engine systems, we have VRD, that is Ahmednagar. R&D engineers Pune, they develop various bridges and physical things for the army tanks to move, even the water, the tanks should go like that. And then SASE, that is a Manali, that is for the avalanche. And then DTRL, Defense Terrain Terrain Laboratory, that is the warhead assembly, we do lot of these things. PXC, it is in Chandipur, the Wheeler Island. If you see any missile launching, whether it is Agni series or Astra series or any missiles, it will be launched for this PXC, that is Abdul Kalam Island here, that is in Balasur. And then ADRD, it is in Pune, that we develop lot of weapons, that is what we call the ammunitions for the fitting into the warheads. And then CVRD, Combat Vehicle Research Development Establishment, Chennai, it is there. You are all Mark II Arjun tank series and all developed here. And then HEMRL, high energy material, and then CFIS is a certifying body for all those things. So armaments is a very core area in DRDO. And then missiles and strategic, if you see here, DRDL Defense Research Development Laboratory, Dr. Abdul Kalam started his career from here only. But if you see the Dr. Abdul Kalam career, first he joined in AD here, Bangalore, as a senior technical assistant, and then he moved to ISRO. That is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, VSSC Trivandrum, he moved there. And then in 1982 or these things, when the IGDMT, Integrated Missile Development Program, started in India during the period, then he was brought to DRDL, and then he started the 5 missiles like Agni, Prithvi, Akash, Nag, all the missiles started from here only. But of course, after DRDL, then he started his own laboratory. It is called Research Center, IMART in Hyderabad. The complete lab was designed, developed by Dr. Abdul Kalam. Even the garden what today he is having in the RCI complex is designed by Dr. Abdul Kalam. What are the plants he planted, it is all done by him only. Then we have ITR, Integrated Test Range. Again, it is for the missile, what you call launch pad. TBRL, again it is Chandigarh, very, very strategic this thing. Nuclear warhead assembly, all those things will be done here, TBRL. And then ASL, we have started a new lab for the Advanced System Laboratory for the Agni 5 and above series. Even the Astra missiles, all those things. Because some of the things, whatever DRDL and RC is not doing, here it is done in the coded things. So ASL is a very, very strategic. And then CHESS, it is the Center for the High Energy System Laboratory, where the laser guided missiles, laser guided bombs kind of research is done here. It is again in Hyderabad. If you see, then you have DEALS Electronics, DLRL, that is the Hyderabad again, Defense Electronics Research Laboratory. It is started in the very early age, and then LRD Bangalore. It is started by during the British period, and IRD, Dehradun, LASTEC and DARE, all these things. They develop various electronic warfare systems, Samyukta, and then how to jam your enemy's communication systems. In the today world, the communication plays an important role. You can jam the communications of any command which is given by the enemies, and then how to decode the communication. All those things are done by these electronics labs here. And then of course in life sciences, we have 9 laboratories, DEBL, that is the bioenergy, biomaterial laboratory, and then DePass Physiology Lab, and then we have separate lab for psychology also, Defense Institute of Psychology Research. Whatever the officers we are selecting into armed forces, whether it is a pilot or it is officers in the Army or Navy, the psychological test will be conducted by these things. Various tests are developed here. So if you are joining the Army, Navy or Air Force, you know the test procedures. One is the interviewing officer, another is the group test, and then one is the psychology test. So you will be assessed your psychological profile by these psychological methods, whether you have OLQ, that is officer-like qualities, whether you have that kind of systems and all. We have the DIPR developed. Now, first time in the world, this lab has developed the pilot selection, autopilot selection system without any manual intervention. DIPR developed these things. So the pilot selection candidates will be put into this automated software system, then he will be selected like that. Now the validation is done and it is implemented. Now Singapore is going to adopt these things. And then in Mass we have one medical laboratory instead of nuclear medicine. The nuclear medicine related things are done by here. Particularly in India, if you talk about the thyroid problem, early thyroid problem, there was no treatment available in the country. So this lab started, basically this lab, the lab name is Thyroid Clinic only. The landmark in Delhi, Timarpur, is the Thyroid Clinic. So all the thyroid related problems are sorted out here. And then Tezpur we have one lab, Defense Laboratory, and then Daimbar we have Aldwani, of course DFL Mysore, and then Bihar in Leh we have the laboratory. Complete greening of this Ladakh area and all, and providing the fresh fruits and vegetables to the forward locations also this lab is doing. And then DRD Gwalior, that is the chemical and biological warfare. All of you are aware that apart from the missiles, apart from the communication, you can use the biological weapons also, you can use the chemical weapons also, like sulfur mustard or the sarin or other kind of chemical weapons, Pasbine, all those things. So because India is a signatory to the treaty, OPEC treaty, so we have DRD Gwalior, we have all the stockpiles, and then in Nagpur we have the, Nasik we have the other laboratory where we can do the synthesis all those things. Now we are establishing a BSL-4 for this kind of the latest COVID corona kind of virus, how to tackle these kind of lethal, very what you call problematic viruses also. DRD Gwalior we are having. So we have 9 laboratories in DRDO Life Sciences, and of course MED we have Anurag, SSPL, again it is for the gallium oxide based materials, MTRDC, microwave tube research developed, Sitar is a society, CARE is for the artificial intelligence, we have a separate laboratory for artificial intelligence, robotics, everything, and then SAG system analysis group, what are these missiles, what are the things happens, the analysis is done by these things, and then JC's Joint Cyber Bureau, suppose the president is visiting Mangalore, they will not send a fax that the president is visiting to Mangalore. They will be sending in a coded, encrypted manner. So you have to encrypt and decrypt that this thing. So this lab, for the security reasons, they do this JCB, Joint Cyber Bureau, highly secretive lab. So, and what are the language that people speak outside the border, that also can be decoded. Suppose the Afghanistan border people are speaking in a different Pashtun language or other languages, this lab is having a facility, algorithms and software, it can recognize which language it is. To what you call do the spying kind of operation, this JCP is there, it is a highly secretive lab. So it is all located in different clusters. So if you see this country as such, we have located every places, nook and corner of the country, Leh it is there, and then we have the Mysore, and Kochi we have, and then Chennai, and if you see here, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Delhi, it is concentrated the labs because of the security reasons, because you cannot have the defense establishments in any part of the place where you want to be because of the lot of restrictions. So we are concentrated mostly in Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune, and sometimes in the Delhi also, and even in Mysore we have 4 laboratories. But if you see in the map, we will not put other listings because Mysore there is a, if you know about Mysore, we have a Department of Atomic Energy rare metal plant is there. So lot of nuclear enrichment, uranium enrichment, thorium enrichment happens. So these enrichment, these things are assembled in the other labs. Even we have another 3 labs in Mysore. So that it will be assembled in the warhead, and then it will be sent to Jagdalpur, SFC we have, so that will be sent there. So this is all about the DRDO, these things. So coming to the DRDO, DFRL, we have started in the year 1961, in the first 1960 it started in Delhi as a small science center. If you see the DRDO history, the Jawaharlal Nehru brought the eminent people from the USA directly, like Kothari and Bhagavantam and other people. They are all working in US universities. He brought to India, and then it started in India because to have a kind of R&D in the defense sector. Earlier, India is having only a defense manufacturer like ordnance factory without any organized way. So this lab started for that particular purpose, and then in the Mysore we started at 1961, 62, all of us aware that Chinese problem happened. So the country felt that there should be a separate lab in the field of food science technology to provide the operational things like that. So this and all these things. So now each lab in DRDO we are given the defined charter of duty. I cannot take the research what I wanted. I cannot do this thing. So each lab is given the mandate or the charter of duties, which will be what you call reviewed every 10 to 15 years. This is last year only given by the committee headed by the Dr. Ram Gopal Rao, IIT director, and then the present ISRO chairman Somnath. They are all members of this our committee, review committee. So we are now given the very clear mandate to work on these things. So in DFRL we have different departments like food engineering, packaging development, and then we have grains and technology, fruits and technology, freeze drying animal products, food microbiology, biotechnology, and nutritional biochemistry things. So the way we do the thing is we take most of the time we do only applied research. Most of the time now as per the government of India the review mechanism, most of the basic research are uploaded to institutions like universities, IITs and colleges. We cannot do the basic research on our own. So we ought to only do the research in the applied and basic applied things only, because we call in the DRDO there are different categories of project. One is the S&D projects. Now 90% of the S&D projects should be done by the institutions, not by the DRDO labs. And then we have the TD project, technology demonstration projects, that DRDO labs can do. And then we have the MM project, mission mode projects. Now the government, the present government is also talking about the mission mode project, that is the implementation and the adaptation of the technologies, MM projects. And then we have the user trial projects also. What are the technologies we develop, it will be done the user trials The user trial, the word is very, very critical, because we, like what market survey you do with the consumer, we have to go to the field and then get it established our technologies or the products. So that's why user trials. So here we take the applied research and then we develop some process and then product optimization. We develop various kind of rations. So this photo, what you are seeing is a one-day ration for armed forces, whether it is a MRE, meals ready to eat ration for the Navy or Air Force or submariners or the Marine Commando Force, what you see, the black commandos, all those things. And then we do the quality control in the lab, nutritional, microbiological, sensory, their self-stability, all those we do. And then we go and conduct the field trials. That's what the field trials plays a very important role. We directly interact with the Jawan, we directly interact with the submarine, we directly interact with the sailors, and then we take their feedback, and then we come back again, we modify, and then we finally go for the implementation. So in the DFR, we have all the facilities, processing facility. If you see the retard processing or the vacuum frying, this some of the facilities we have everything. Even the first kind of things, high pressure processing in India, we are having. PF, pulsed electric field, we have like that, gamma irradiation, everything. I will explain in the coming slides. And then in the analytical facilities also we are very sufficient, because for us the budget is not constraint, because we spend around 20 to 25 crore per year only for these kind of facilities alone, apart from the pay and allowances like that. So we have the very good facilities here. And then if you come to the food processing and the food population demand, because all of us now aware that the population is growing day by day, the global population also will reach around 9.6 billion in the coming years. We will be overtaking China also sometimes, unless we make some kind of strategy. So there is a need to develop a food demand is increasing. The other side, if you see here, whatever the crops, whatever the commodities we are growing, it is going to the waste, because we don't have the adequate infrastructure, we don't have adequate storage and the processing facility. The crops or the commodity which is what you call developed are the coming out of the field, only 30 to 2 to 5% we are converting into valued products, whether it is a tomato or whether it is any commodity in India. So the hunger and the waste, food waste is major these things. Even India, it is coming to again these things. So when we talk about how to elevate the take care of these things, we talk about the sustainable food system. Sustainability in the sense you give to the future generation whatever the resources available, whether it is a water, whether it is a land or any other things. The sustainability means it should be allowed or given to the future generation. You cannot deplete all the resources for your present generation. That is what the meaning of the sustainable food system or any things. Now people are talking very frequently about the sustainability in every field, whether it is a sustainable medical care, sustainable food system, sustainable health care, like that. So you have to provide to the future generations. And then if you talk about the sustainable development, if you are reading, anybody is reading about the UN Sustainable Development Goal, there are 17 goals are there. In that we focus mainly on the hunger, zero hunger. This is because India is also signatory to this 191 countries signatory to these things, the economic pillar, the environment pillar and social pillar. So we need to provide the safe drinking water, provide the hygiene conditions, and then zero hunger, poverty. Because when you talk about the global development index, unless you are providing all those things in a timely manner, the country cannot be called as a developed country. You can go on call as a developing country or underdeveloped country only. So if you want to qualify as a developed country, there should not be any poverty, there should not be any hunger in the population. So that's why the sustainable development goals plays an important role. Only thing you have to optimize these things. So coming to the historical developments in the food processing and the food science, the man started by using the fire for the preparation of food, and then now we are in the 3D printing, 4D printing and 5D printing. There are lot of what you call innovation happened in the world again. And another thing, mind you, any development which is taking place in the world, it is all started first for the defense application, whether it is ultrasound or the submarine or anything or the communication system. All these things, the development started for the mandate of the defense forces, and then it is translated to the civil population. That is what any R&D development, any science and technology development first started for the defense forces. So if you see here how the history of sustainable food processing, first artificial cold processing, now we are talking about the cold pressed oil, whether it is a coconut oil or all those things. But if you see 1950s itself started, and Nicholas Appert is a very famous for the canning person, and then the famous what you call Napoleon tells army marches on its stomach. Army marches on stomach. So the army Jawan, you have to provide the sustainable food products for fighting the war. So that's why the Napoleon word is very, very important here. So there are these things. Then food processing, now there are a lot of scopes for the food processing in the country also, because India is emerging as one of the food processing sector here. And then we have a GDP around 60 to 80% of the population. Still we are coming from the rural population also. It is not urbanized completely. So there are a lot of scope for the food processing sector in India, particularly the new processing facilities, because the modern food processing is having make the food microbiologically safe, chemically and microbiologically, and then highest quality, flavor, color and texture. Now you can see the organically grown natural products like that, because now lot of demand is coming for them, and then make it to convenient. Nobody imagined that milk you will be going and purchasing in the sachet, or edible oil, now it is coming in the jerry cans and then PET bottles. Those days you used to go and bring the oil, edible oil in your container, SS container, aluminum container. Even nobody we imagine that when we are traveling, we will be carrying the mineral water bottle, Bisleri water. So now because of the convenience, because of the demand, now the technology are changing. One of the most, what you call illustrated example is the water. Water people now become very scarce. So the objectives of the food processing is the first thing to minimize the product loss and processing cost, because the farmer has to get the benefit whatever he is growing. Most of us we are coming from the farming background, and then adding the value to the products and high standards, because now WTO and then the GATT agreement, everything is coming into picture. So your product, suppose you want to export to other foreign countries, you should be able to maintain the standard. Suppose apple is coming from New Zealand or orange is coming from the Australia, there are a lot of stringent standards are available. So you have to take care of these things, and then value to the farmers, because the farmer ultimately whatever he is growing, he should get the benefit, and then improve the technological things. So now India, all of us aware that we are number one in the production of milk, whether it is a fresh, whole or buffalo milk, and then pulses, ginger, chickpea, banana, fruits and vegetables, India number one. We are very proud that even in the production of the grains, cereals and pulses, we are number two. Those days in 1940s, 50s, 60s, a lot of poverty was there. We used to import the wheat from USSR or US. If you are these things, those who born that period, we used to import all those things. But now India ranked in the fifth in terms of the production, consumption and export of processed foods. There are a lot of export of processed foods also happening, particularly honey and spices and condiments. It is happening here. So in the India, there are a lot of major areas are coming, fruits and vegetables, marine, particularly coastal areas like marine, meat and poultry. Particularly the buffalo meat export is very, very high from India to the Middle East countries, and then dairy sector, cereals and legumes, confectionery and plantation crops like spices, all the other things. So this is what already I told, farmer will get a benefit, companies, the Indian industries will get benefit, consumer will get a lot of greater variety, lower prices. Now a lot of convenience foods are there, even the bread, biscuits, you go to the market, how many types of bread, how many types of biscuits are available in the market. It is all because of the development in the technologies and the economy, employment generation is happening. And then this is some statistics how the rising market size is these things. By 2025, Indian food processing sector will reach $500 billion, because now the government of India target is $5 trillion economy. That is the chain economy. So India is having a chance or the scope that we can achieve these things. And then India also ranks in the wastage only thing we have to minimize. Otherwise, the country is going in the correct direction. So this is about how the introduction to the food processing in this thing. Now coming to the what you call the this graph you see for 1 minute, then you can understand why the Indian defense or the Indian R&D is very, very important to tackle these kind of problems. India is surrounded by the so-called the number of hostile enemies or the neighbors. First thing, you cannot change your neighbor. The first concept is you cannot change your neighbor. Suppose even your neighbor who is staying in your apartment or you are in your villa or your house, you cannot change your neighbor unless you have to change. But a country like India, since because of the big country, we are surrounded by different kind of people here. Starting with Sri Lanka. Now Sri Lanka is also we are having a problem, because this Maldives and the China is having kind of understanding. There are a lot of movement is happening in Maldives also against India. And then if you come here, Myanmar, all of us aware the Myanmar problems. And then Bangladesh, of course, it is like a 50-50 these things. And then Bhutan also now slightly turning towards this side. And then Nepal, and then you see here this Pakistan and then Afghanistan. And then the China now, they cannot directly, because for China there is no water body to enter into India. But now, because of the Sri Lankan presence, now China is putting a lot of base in the Sri Lanka. If you read the paper, you will see China, since they are putting a base in Sri Lanka, now very easily they can come to Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. They need not to cross land-wise, but now they can come, already they have the base here, and then Maldives also they have put 2-3 bases here. So it is a porous border. The country is facing a lot of money, R&D effort in tackling these kind of problems only. If you see the GDP expenditure on the defense, it is very, very huge. And then here you have LAC, line of actual control, and then you have LOC, line of control. You know what is the difference between line of control and line of, here line of control, there is a fixed border is there. Fixed border is there between India and Pakistan. But whereas in LAC, we don't have a fixed border with China and India. Anytime, whenever they are entering into our territory, then they will they will tell this territory belongs to us. That's why it is happening now here. Now the Galwan region problem, everybody aware that they entered up to here. Even LAC they crossed. So the border is very, very porous in India. That's why we have to very cautious and careful about these things. So with keeping in this mind, when we are providing the what you call the food requirement to the armed forces, there are a lot of challenges is there. One, human exposure to different environment conditions. If you see our these things, I will just go to here. Here, if you go here, this LAC, LOC, the temperature goes to -40, India. -40, -45, Siachen base, Ladakh, and then Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang area, it goes to -45, -50. And then if you come to the central part or the Rajasthan area, the temperature goes to +55. During the peak summer, the Rajasthan, Pokhran, Jodhpur temperature goes to +55 degrees Celsius. And then if you come to these kind of northeastern borders, Assam, Meghalaya, Sikkim, all those things, there the jungle operations, then again the temperature will be very, very high and humid. So we operate in high humidity coastal regions, because in India you have the different coastal areas and then humid forest also. Then we have the sea level also, snowbound sea also. And then, so when we are talking about the food requirement, these are the environmental considerations. So how this is a particular chart, how it explains in the extreme environmental conditions. This is basically human physiology. First, if you are going to Leh or Ladakh or any high altitude problem, 8,000 to 9,000 high altitude, these things, first thing, oxygen availability will be very, very less. The first thing, breathing problem will be there, and then you will be end up with hypoxia, that is the reduced oxygen level. Then your breathing comes down, then there will be a water accumulation in your lungs, that is called pulmonary edema. And then anorexia starts, then you will not feel eating the food, and then you will end up with weight loss, and then your performance, and then your cognitive performance, everything will be lost. And then another thing, the Jawans, if you are seeing, he will be isolated from the family, and psychologically he will be isolated. So he may not eat what these things feels. So this is are the different environmental problems here. Another thing here, Indian troops, particularly the Jawans, those who are coming from the rural background, they are not exposed to eating different kind of processed food. So we have to provide as per their choice. Particularly if they are coming from South India, you have to provide rice-based items. If they are coming from the north, you have to provide the roti or pulka or chapati. So when you are designing any ration, you have to take care of these kind of ethnic, cultural, economical background also, and then availability in that particular area, and then dietary habits also. You cannot give the processed food like Maggi and bread to the Jawans. So when we are developing any operational rations, I am talking about the operational ration, not like your cooked rice or cooked chapati or anything. When we are talking about the any ration, if I am telling a ration means it should be a self-sufficient, it should provide 1 year shelf life. Our chapati or our vegetable pulao or whatever we are talking, it should have a shelf life of 1 year under room temperature. Why room temperature, I will explain later. So this is the high energy it should provide, and then high fiber, optimum vitamins, then trace minerals. It should not provide any thirst inducing the environment. And then palatable and digestible. Of course, your food should be palatable and digestible. Then only you can eat. And then longer shelf life because of the logistic problem, supply chain management. And then easy storage. Whatever the food products we develop at DFL, our lab, we don't add any chemical preservatives and we don't keep in the refrigerated condition. It is all kept in the room temperature. Suppose you keep it in +55 or -40 also, it will have a shelf life of 1 year. And then easy portability and carrying, because here the weight is very very critical. Already the Jawan, he will be carrying around 28 to 30 kg of weight during the operations, particularly the arms, ammunitions, communication system, everything. So that we call it as a load carrying capacity, LC. So if suppose you are putting more food products, you may not take this, so you have to easy portability and carrying, because in the forward areas. Yeah, whenever we develop these rations, if you have any background in information, suppose you have the 1000 kilocalories, around 60% of the calories should come from the carbohydrate, and then 30% should come from the fat, and then 10 to 12% from the protein. That is the basic concept or the thumb rule when we are developing any rations, because carbohydrate, it is easily digestible, and then the protein will provide the essential amino acids, and then it takes care of the muscle loss, everything. And of course fat provides the palatability and energy also. 1 gram of carbohydrate will give 4 kilocalories, 1 gram of protein will give 4 kilocalories, and then 1 gram of fat will give 9 kilocalories. So that is what the calorie calculation of these things. Then here little bit these things, that is what the high altitude problems, hypoxia, anorexia, and then sensory perception also will be problem, and then muscle loss. The logistic problem, mainly difficult terrains. If you see the high altitude areas, it is difficult terrains, and then lack of conventional power, these things. For example, now the fresh fruits and vegetable supply happens from Chandigarh to Leh, and then different places like Kalsar and other Siachen base and all. Whenever we are sending these fresh fruits and vegetables, there is a low temperature already in the forward areas. The tomato or the apple or the anything, it gets ice, it will get frozen, so it will go minus 20, minus 30. Instead of fresh fruits, vegetable, it will become like a stone. So you have to provide some kind of system which will maintain the temperature. Another thing, suppose we are transporting the tomato or the fresh fruits and vegetable to Chandigarh to Leh, that is our major base. 1 kg of tomato, suppose the air transport cost alone, it is coming 120 rupees. 120 rupees per kg from Chandigarh to this, because you cannot send by road. Now already the advanced winters started, because road is cut off from Chandigarh to this thing. So whenever we are sending by the aircraft, IL-76 aircraft, the cost, air transport cost is very very high. And then adverse climate condition, air transported. The aircraft, there is no guarantee that it will land in the Leh. Again, it will come back sometimes if the weather condition is very very bad. So that is the very major problem. And then for that, what we do, we keep in the advanced winter stocking. So 9 months stock we will be keeping in these kind of areas, exclusive of fresh fruits and vegetables, whether it's atta, maida or wheat or rice, oil, everything. For 9 months there will be a storage. If there is any kind of eventuality happens, they can able to sustain during that period. That is what the advanced winter stocking. So and then if you want to maintain the power sources, lot of money you have to spend on the petroleum products, and then freezing of foods at sub-zero condition. This is a very major problem happening in the high altitude areas. So there are different processing technologies available in these things. One is a thermal. These are conventional thermal processing like pasteurization. Basically, it is all elimination of the water, or we take care of the water activity. Most of the spoilage of the food spoilage happening because of the water presence. All the microbial, bacterial growth, everything, it happens because of the thermal processing. But now there are a lot of development is happening non-thermal also, because there are advantages and disadvantages happening. Irradiation, copal 60, you can use that slides I think there. So here there are advantages of the thermal processing. It improves the digestibility, increases shelf life, and then the disadvantages, you will lose the original flavor, taste, appearance, and then nutraceutical values, these things. Whereas if you go for the non-thermal in the sense without heat, without temperature, that is what meaning is non-thermal. You get good high quality, fresh-like, near to fresh-like products like that. So you have to combination of the traditional processing and innovative processing, then you can optimize the processing condition here. So I will explain one by one at these things. One is the gamma radiation. We have the specialty in DFR, and then India also this now the BARC BRC is having permitted for use in the sterilization of the food products, particularly for onion and potato sprout inhibition, and then spices. What are the spices you are getting in the market, and it is already irradiated. So the source is gamma rays, copal 60, or X-rays or electron beam, these things. So this is the mechanism how the cell will be get affected before, and this thing, the cytoplasm of the cell will be these things. Then we have high pressure processing also. Instead of using the what you call the temperature or these things. You can use the pressure at 600 to 800 to 1000 megapascal pressure, and then you can develop the. So this is what how the mechanism happens here. One is the integration swelling, because all of you are engineering background, biological people will understand. Disintegration of the cell happens, and then transition, that the cell wall disintegration happens, then unfold. So before 250 this thing. So we have the facility at DFL Mysore, this high pressure, and then freeze drying also. You can dry the food products without actually employing the heat or the this thing temperature. So it is called sublimation. It is called lyophilization. What you have the freeze dried products, particularly now people are using for the pharmaceutical industries. So this is the mechanism here. There are freezing and then primary drying and the secondary drying happens. These are some of the products. Here the advantage is you can get the fresh like product, whether it is a juice powder or it is a mango pulp, mango bits or the banana bits or apple bits. Only the disadvantage is the cost of this technology. You have to run this plant for 16 to 18 hours, and then the storage also important here. And then ultrasonic, the use of sound in the food processing also. If you see the sonography, all those things, here we can use the ultrasound also here. So the cavitation force bubble develops, because you develop a very high this thing, bubble cavity happens, vibration, and then the cell damage happens here, bubble pattern happens. This is what some of the technology, by using applications here we have these things. The another is the use of electricity for the food processing, pulse electric field here. This is basically a German technology where I have trained on this work actually. Pulse electric field, use of pulse electric these things between these two electrodes, the liquid foods will be sent. This is big complicated things. 10 to 80 kilowatt per centimeter these things, and then there will be a minimum these things. So here these are the use of the PF in the, you can use it induction of stress, everything you can achieve different voltage level, you can use it. And this is the mechanism how each cell is having the cell membrane, that is a lipid bilayer we have, and then when the threshold of this exceeds, electroporation happens, that is a pore formation happens, that is a small pinhole develops, and then it will undergo it will be like this rupture of the cells. So this is the mechanism here, you can see here. This is taken by the scanning electron microscopy before treatment and after treatment. So completely the cell wall lysis is happening, and then the depletion of the cell wall material is happening. So we have in India, we are the first in the use of this pulse electric field for the processing of the food products. The one advantage of this thing, based on our work, by using this PEF technology, you can increase the oil extraction, particularly from the oil seeds. So the Gujarat government, you know, cotton is grown very huge in the Gujarat. So by seeing this technology, that time this present Prime Minister was the Chief Minister of the Gujarat. So he used this PF for the yield extraction, that is oil, cotton seed oil. Normally you will get around 10 to 12% cotton oil extraction by using the conventional method. But if you are exposing to PF, the oil yield of cotton seed is increased to around 18 to 20%. Now the Gujarat Cotton Growers Association, they have established this facility in Gandhinagar, Ahmedabad. So then another concept is mechanization in food processing, whether we can go for the mechanization, because you can achieve the good quality control, improved safety, and end-to-end traceability. Traceability is also coming to picture into nowadays in food processing. You might have, what is traceability? Suppose you might have seen Maruti car is releasing some new variant, and then if there are some problem in the brake or some problem in the engine, the complete series of that production is they have taken. They will recall back to the this thing factory. That is called traceability. But you can see the traceability, and then you can take back the cars. Like that in food processing also. Suppose you are selling the tomato in particular supermarket, which is grown in the Mandia, and then the Mandia tomato is coming to Mangalore, and they found that there is a problem with the tomato, this thing, whether a fungal attack or any virus attack. So if you see the traceability, these things, you can take back the tomato which is sold in the Mangalore market. That is called food safety. Traceability is also coming to the picture, and then you can have the brand protection also. So another thing, now robots also is coming into the picture in the application food processing. This and all very these things. And then so far we are using only conventional like rice, wheat, tomato, vegetable, also things. Now there is a lot of research work is going on, use of insects also. Insects also can be used as a food source, because now the availability of land, availability of water, everything is coming. Particularly insect research is very much it is happening. You can cultivate the insects and then you can consume. And then cultured meat. Cultured meat is nothing but it is a lab grown meat. You can grow the meat in the lab condition itself. That is called, because people are nowadays very fond of the vegetarian movement is happening. Even people that even in army, our army people, they feel that taking the non-vegetarian, it is nowadays it is a kind of taboo. People, they don't prefer eating non-veg, because that kind of consciousness is coming, ethical consciousness is coming. So you avoid eating the non-vegetarian. So instead of that, if you want to have a good quality protein and these things, you grow the meat in the lab condition itself. Singapore it is happening. So, and then plant-based meat also. Plant-based meat, now even US pizza and all, it is coming with the chickpea protein isolate, and then single cell protein, and then marine algae. Another is the milk substitutes. Instead of cow milk or buffalo milk or goat milk, you can develop a milk from the plant source also, because this is not a vertical this thing, because some of the child, if he is born with the problem like lactase deficient enzyme, all of us, we are drinking milk, the milk will be converted into the lactose is broken down into glucose and these things, fructose. So if the infant is not having that lactase enzyme in his system, the water, the milk you are feeding, even including the breast milk, the child cannot able to digest. So for that, you need to provide the plant milk, whether it is a coconut milk or sesame milk or any other oilseed milk. So then the child can able to get the protein sources in the younger age. That is for the lactose intolerance. If you have studied nutrition, you will understand lactose intolerance. And then marine algae. Lot of marine algae is having lot of benefits, particularly the fatty acids, everything. And then the 3D printing of food products also. Here you can design your food products. Suppose you want to eat today 1500 kilocalories of food. You can design how much carbohydrates should come, how much fat should come, how much protein should come, how much vitamins, how much minerals. You can design your food product, and then it is called designer foods. And then you can make different size, shape also. Sorry. You can make a different size, shape like this. Now 3D printing is now outdated. It is coming 4D and 5D printing, like extrusion, everything. Even your cake, your pizza, or your bread, you can design tailor-made these things. There are a lot of challenges are available here. And then food packaging. In food processing and the food science and technology, food packaging also very important, because it has to take care of all your barrier property, everything. So we normally speak about the production. One is against physical production, another is the chemical production, and then preservation, and then presentation. The simple example is your tender coconut. Tender coconut is nature's best gift to the packaging. As long as the coconut water is inside your nut, it is not spoiled. The moment you disturb, the moment you open the coconut cell, that it undergoes the enzymatic changes. The nature is given the very good fiber, so it is protected, and then again it is cell, it is inside there. So coconut is a very good example how the packaging God has given to us. And then containment, communication also. You can communicate with your this thing. Most of the time when we are going to the market, first we see the brand or the label. What type of storage, what type of instructions, how much energy is there, how much, whether it is having added preservatives, like that. So convenience also. And then traceability, already I told here, traceability. This is the barcode, 13-digit barcode. Barcode itself is a big subject actually. You will have a 13-digit numbers. The first 2 digit will be origin of the country, and then next 2 digit will be the month of the manufacturer, and then place of origin. All those things will be there, the barcode readers. Now what you call a QRS, quick response codes, like that, there is a barcode is there. And then marketing, of course, each company is having the barcode. And then tamper evidence is very important, particularly in the defense perspective. Suppose we are sending some kind of packed foods. In between the supply chain, people are putting they open the bottle and then they add some kind of material which is injurious or harmful to the Jawans. You add microgram of toxins, then entire the troops will get affected. So this is tamper evidence is very important in the supply chain management also. So future of food processing is very good here. This and all. Now coming to the space food, I will take another. How much time, sir? I have another 5 more minutes. because India now we are going to the Gaganyaan program. This one already I will not spend. The problem with the space technology or the space exploration, microgravity or zero gravity. Suppose now you are 55 kg here in the ground. If you are going to the microgravity environment, your weight will be multiplied by 5 or 6 times. That is the G level or the microgravity. You will be floating because 320 kilometer and above the orbit, you will be floating. That is what microgravity. And then you will have lot of pressure difference, unknown environment, physical stress, all those things will be there. I will not discuss. And then what are the problems in the physiological effects, weight loss, and then fluid shift. All your brain fluid will enter into your bottom, and then constipation, electrolyte, calcium loss, space motion sickness also plays an important role. This space radiation, and then astronaut food. Because now astronaut food also very important. We have to design the food also. So the requirements are easy digest, easy storage, space, safe disposal, lightweight and balanced nutrition here. So again the same thing only here. So the considerations. So this is what how the chronological of these things happened in the present. This thing it started Mercury mission, all those things. I will just discuss only about DFR listings, Mercury, Gemini. So this is the thermostabilized canned food, and then this is squeezable drink container for the space applications. So this is the Russian is basically, we have the sample also here. This is the toothpaste form. The food product will be prepared, processed, and then it is meshed into very fine paste, and then it is filled in this aluminum tube paste food. This earlier Air Force people also using. Now it is all outdated. This is the desert kind of thing, and then this is Skylab, and then this is the hot dogs, tomato sauce, all these things. Though this is the fresh tomato also. Space settler, this thing. And then we have International Space Station ISS. Now even yesterday somebody is telling that ISS space station is going to fall in India. The Soviet Russian scientist is telling like this. So space, these things, this is what DFR we have done here. In 1984, Rakesh Sharma, when he went to space, he has taken food from DFRL. That time USSR and NASA, they were collaborating, and then still Rakesh Sharma is there. He is basically Air Force test pilot. He is living in Bangalore, 86 years old, these things. So that time when he went, he has taken food from DFRL. So this is the slide about that. So these are the products we given those days. So it will be like this. This is the container, then the dried what you call vegetable pulao or chicken pulao will be there, and then you have to inject with hot water for reconstitution. Then he will consume, and then this is the freeze-dried juice powder. So these are all very primitive stages those days. This is the products they have developed. Now coming to the Gaganyaan, the proposed Gaganyaan mission India. I will take another 5 minutes if they permit. So this is the Gaganyaan mission. This is the it will be looking like this. Your crew module will be like this. So this is the crew module, this is the service module, and then you have orbital module. It goes around 400 kilometer altitude, that is the lower Earth orbit, and then it will be weighing around 7.6 tons, the total weight of the Gaganyaan mission. That crew module will be these things. Crew module 4.5 and service module will be these things. So this is the ISRO and HAL, they are going to manufacture almost, the structure is ready here, because DFR also we are participating in these things. So this is how it will be lift up will be from Sriharikota, then ascent and descent will be 100%, you can see the visibility, and then it will take around 16 minutes to reach the orbit, 320 to 340 kilometers, depending on it will reach. Then this is our orbital module, then solar array deployment takes place. The typical satellite or this typical launch vehicle will happen, and then it will go for the reorientation and then deboost. Then the module will be separated, and then crew module, service module will be separated, and then here they will be rotating for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, depending upon the technology capability. Earlier we planned for 7 days, but now the mission duration may be reduced to 3 days. We don't know what is the government taking the decision, and then crew module will come for the re-entry. So from here to here it is easy. We have the technology capability because we are expert in launching the satellites. But recovery of this crew module is very typical. So you have to go for aerobraking, and then you have to parachute should deploy, and parachute should open, and then it has to come, and then it splash down. Splash down in the sense he has to land in the water body, because water body landing is a very safe. That is what throughout the world they prefer water this thing. So that's why now it will be landed in near Gujarat, Ahmedabad. There nothing against political things in that landing problem. If you these things, they shifted the HFC, all those things is not there. It is because of the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. We are planning to bring down these things. Then it will go for the recovery here. So here, this is what the cabin volume, all those details are there, Ghania and these things. So this already given here. So in ISRO DRDO around 10 labs we are participating. I will take some this thing. DFL we are providing the food product, water, even the drinking water is placed in important, and then ORS, oral regurgitation solution, saline solution, because he has to drink 2 liters of saline. That is a 1 gram of sodium chloride in the 100 ml of water. He has to drink 1 liter of sodium chloride solution, saline solution, when he is coming back. Otherwise, his entire body fluid will be from the brain, it will go to the bottom. So that's why the saline fluid he has to maintain, and then we have to provide the ORS also, oral regurgitation solution, like what you take during the this thing, hospital administration, ICU, they put drips. So we are all providing in the different way, and then DPAS we are providing some other mechanism. Here the CPs, that is fire suppression system, in the crew module we are providing suppression system. This is the ADRD parachutes, very critical parachutes they have developed already. TBRL, to activate this parachute, some kind of ammunition is required, chemical or the mechanical trigger is required, this thing. And CEMILAC is a certifying body. DL Jodhpur, that is for the radiation dosimetry measurement, how much astronaut is going to get exposed to radiation, passive radiation or the active radiation happens. So we will be putting a wearable dosimeters in his body. And then in mass we are providing some of the medicines and injections, because the moment he reaches the orbit, he will be feeling the space motion sickness. So he has to take some injection, and then there will be vomiting, all those things, some tablets he has to take, and then personal hygiene kit also. And then DEBL we are providing this Bangalore lab based to monitor his health condition 24/7. His health condition will be monitored, including ECG, BP, and then SpO2, like corona, those who are affected, every time you will be seeing the pulse monitor. So like that, here from the ground control you can see the pulse and SpO2 level of the astronauts also we can see. And then DFL we are providing these things. So DFL Mysore we are providing the space food with suitable packaging, and then potable water, 250 ml pouches in the different mechanism, water dispensing system, food warming system to heat the product in the space environment, and then cutlery, spoon and scissors. See, it looks like it is a cutlery, but even the material, it is a 3006SS, so corrosion free, all those things. And then food and water storage bags, regurgitation system, waste disposal bag. So when he is using the food material after consumption, he cannot throw in the open environment what we throw in the roadside. So he has to put in the some kind of waste disposal bags. So without any microbial spoilage, without any flavor development. So we are providing the waste disposal restraining bags also here. And then this is the, so based on the height and weight and age of the astronauts, 4 astronauts already they have undergone the training at Moscow for 3 semesters, that is the 18 months. Now they are undergoing the training at Bangalore in the pilot, that is astronaut training center, ATC, near Marthagalli. So they are now undergoing the training. So these are the essential things which we are providing them. So these are the quality, very stringent microbiological these things. And again there, this is the innovation NASA is these things taking. And then the future, people may cultivate the crop in the ISS itself, and then they can consume also. Now capsicum, all those things they are cultivating based on the UV light technology, they are consuming this thing, but it is lot of challenge. Now why India is going for the space mission is, now each country, now the space station, ISS, International Space Station, is collaboration with the European Union, USA and Russia, and then some kind of other countries. Now there is a lot of what you call the conflict is happening. So now each country, they want to have their own space station. Already China is having its own space station. Last 2 years, if you see, their growth is very exponential. So India is also planning to have some kind of space station permanently. The space station is nothing but to monitor complete the communication, the satellite or the whatever the communication we can monitor from the space station. That is the what you call objective here. So this is what your future will be have. This is called dinner tray. You will have the main course, you will have a curry item, or you have the sweet item, you have the sabji, then you can have the cutlery, all those things. In the future, your space station will be like this ISS space station. You can have a typical restaurant dining facility you can have like this. This is about DFL here. So during any kind of natural disaster also, we will be providing lot of what you call relief operations. So this is what we provide lot of food materials, because we always keep around 5 to 10 tons of materials during the stock. So whenever any natural calamity happens, we used to provide these things. Orissa super cyclone, you are aware that around 10,000 people they died. I was there for more than 30 days to see the relief operations. Those days no mobile phones. That time Dr. Abdul Kalam was our chairman, secretary DRDO. So we used to speak every day 2 minutes with him in the satellite phone. So that what you call Balasore, Bhadrak, all the districts, they were completely marooned. We were doing the relief operation through Air Force helicopters. And then Gujarat earthquake, all of us aware, tsunami. So Kerala, Karnataka, every time whenever there is a natural calamity happens, we used to provide the relief materials. Then during the COVID also, DRDO established some 10 hospitals, COVID hospitals. So DRDO is, and then we have developed one mobile lab also. Mobile lab is for the testing of these things also we have. So this is about the DRDO contributions. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I will answer.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your.
Sir, what is the basic education qualification to get a job in DFL?
No, okay. If you are a postgraduate guy, or if you are a BTech, or if you are a BE, you can directly join as a scientist B in DRDO. You can join as a scientist B, that is a Group A gazetted. So President of India will give the appointment authority. So for that, you should have a 85 and above the percentage, and then you should have a GATE qualification. That is a direct recruitment. GATE qualified direct recruitment. We have the agency or the directorate called Recruitment Assessment Center, RAC, www.rac.drdo.org. That is a website, you can see these things. Okay, there they will advertise now. I think the next advertisement is come very soon. But there will be a suppose 1 lakh people are applying, maybe we take around 10 students only. The cutoff, the filtration is very, very tough. Otherwise, there are what you call schemes or these programs are there. Campus interview also. Campus interview, we normally go to IITs and then NITs, the so-called NITs like Surathkal, Trichy, and then other Warangal like that. There, the people they go and then they directly take the students these things. That is a campus recruitment. Earlier we had another scheme, that is a ROSA scheme. ROSA scheme we stopped because the NRI people, those who are coming back to India, that scheme we have stopped. Otherwise, those who are having a very good academic background, you will be, whenever we are applying, advertisement is coming, please see the DRDO website, www.drdo.org.in. That website you can see that advertisement. This is for the scientist B and above. Then there is a technical cadre, that is called senior technical assistant. That even with your BSc, even with your BTech or with the diploma, you can apply. That is called septum recruitment takes place. That is through written test and then through written test plus interview. But that is pay level 6, pay level 8, I think, pay matrix 8 and this thing. Whereas your scientist B is pay level 12, not 12, 10 and above like that. So scientist B and DRDO, the entry point to the scientist is called scientist B. B, C, D, E, F, G, H, DS. So DS, and then you will reach the chairman secretary. So that is so I and all joined as a scientist B in 96. When I went to those days, I went to the interview scheme. 31 candidates were there, and that day only one was selected. So there, minimum 2 hours interview will be there, starting from all kind of questions. So if you want to enter into DRDO, your academic this thing should be good. And then otherwise, if you want to do research in the DRDO with your MTech or with your BTech, you can join as a junior research fellow. That we provide the fellowship, around 31,500 per month we will provide the fellowship first 2 years, and then 3rd year, 4th year we will provide 35,000 plus the applicable HRA. Mysore 18%, Bangalore 24%, like that HRA we provide along with that. That is called junior research fellow. Like CSIR fellow, UGC fellows, we provide the fellowship. So now even in DFL we have 18 JRFs. So you can do research and you can get a PhD. Or without PhD also 3 years, 4 years you can complete. That is a research fellow scheme. That is a DRDO. Any other things?
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Sir, as you have said that we require hot water to consume food in space. So how do you how do you get water supply in space?
Water supply to the space, we provide the water in the pouches itself, and then we have called the delivery mechanism. That and all I have not explained or shown here because we have a lot of restrictions actually. We have the liquid delivery system. The astronauts cannot consume water like what we consume here. So there will be a pouch, pouch will be there, and then there will be a valve, and then there will be a sucking tube will be there. So he can open and on off these things, and then he can consume without any problem. That is called liquid delivery system. Certain things it is all I have to take permission from ISRO to tell you to put a slide actually. It cannot be
Secret research, secret issues in, in research secrets as well. Yes? I'll give one challenge here on spot. Can anyone summarize the talk in 1 minute? Come on. Yes, any hands? Some points at least. Some points at least, come on. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
So, good morning, everyone. Myself, Ranesh Krishna from Srinivas Institute of Technologies. So, actually, there were two sections organized today, but first one section was taken by Dr. R. Kumar sir. First of all, he explained us about defense food technology. He explained us about the experiments conducted in our state. He also explained us about the DRDO working on different assets like naval system and materials, aeronautical systems, missile and strategic systems, electronics and communications systems, life sciences, med and computational systems, armaments and combat engineering. He told us that missiles and strategic systems and armaments and combat engineering systems are the core of DRDO, DRDO functioning. We get to know about the facilities offered by DRFL. The food waste topic was also taken into consideration as it is a main problem faced by the nation. The goal or the three pillars were explained by him, that is namely economical pillar, environmental pillar, social pillar, etc. He explained us about history of sustainable food processing. Food processing sector was explained because of the growing opportunities in India. Space food technology was also discussed. In space food technology, we got to know how the foods are supplied in the space. We also got to know about the Sky Labs, DRDO labs for life support were also explained. Thank you. Thank you
very much. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, we'll conclude this session here. So once again, I thank you very much for your wonderful, resourceful talk, and of course, future endeavors. And of course, we want to be, in association with you for our research works as well.
I will tell actually, we also provide the lot of projects to the colleges and universities actually. We have different boards actually. One is a naval research board, and then armament research board, and then aeronautical research board, and LSRB life science research boards. If the institutes or the colleges, they are having the adequate expertise, faculty and facility wise, we provide the projects up to 1 crore, 2 crore to the duration of 3 years or 4 years. So we provide a lot of these things, projects to the institutes. What I told, the basic research we uploaded to universities and institutes. We provide the, you can interact with the different labs wherever you have expertise. Particularly, for example, you have the expertise in communication, you can interact with the labs, particularly dealing with these things and armaments like that. So we provide the total DRDO budget, 10% we give this kind of projects to institutes, support institutes. So like NIT Churatkal, Coimbatore institutes, lot of people they are having this thing. Even yesterday we had a project around 30 crore now we given to different universities. So the product, we call it as a deliverable. It should be a physical form for us, because otherwise the project will be short closed, and then we will end up with a lot of problems. So we need the mission mode deliverables. That deliverable can be used for our applications. That's why you can approach us. We will guide you how to get the project from DRDO. So it will be easy for you.
Yes,
sir. Myself Sohan. Just a doubt, like you are told in the presentation that by 2025, 2026, the total population of India will overtake China by 9.6 billion something. So what are the measures you are taking to make it a zero hunger, sir? in our country?
Basically, I am not a Ministry of Agriculture person. I am a DRDO person. Now, what I told is you have to reduce the wastage of food products. But government is taking a lot of effort. The Ministry of Food Processing is there, and then there are a lot of schemes are there. So they are reducing the food waste. Suppose if you can minimize the food waste, you can able to provide the food to the all the people. Only problem, we have sufficient stock, but it is not reaching in the proper way. During the now last month and all, if you see the Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, the wheat production is surplus. But are you reading the paper daily? Last
Not
week,
every day.
Wednesday or Tuesday, we are importing wheat to Afghanistan as a free, because Afghanistan now is in the food crisis. So a lot of material we are sending through Pakistan to Afghanistan for what you call humanitarian aid. That means we are surplus with the wheat production. But only thing, it is not reaching in a proper way because of the various political and other reasons. But India, we are self-sufficient. The global hunger is different and Indian hunger is different.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
it's that's why software engineering and all. And sir has inspired us to take up engineers to take up your jobs in food processing because we all love eating, right? So that is a very potential area for engineers to explore. Thank you very much. Now we break for a